happy I wrote it like this. And they also marked out in pink what is completely not okay, not on. This needs to be redone. How did they used a lot of exemplars that teachers share. So of course there are rubrics and things very important. The child has to know what am I, where am I heading. So the rubric to begin with. Then of course when they are writing any assignment, they did the self-evaluation using these 3 colored pens and putting the notes together, using the teacher's exemplar and then discussing it and then rethinking on their work. When the teacher finally got that work submission with her, the teacher used what we call SIG marking, where the teacher identified strengths very clearly, areas of improvement of the yellow box again very clearly, and developmental tasks. So I know this is what I need to improve. How do I do it? What do I do to do this? What practice will help? What else will help? What can I try? What resource is valuable here, and so on and so forth. So what is my developmental, what is the next step or task? So children did a lot of that, and we have student-led conferences. So this time, of course, it was a virtual conference and e-portfolios. So they presented their portfolios in the 3-way conference. Even my early childhood kids managed to do it. That was something that Microsoft, in fact, is calling us and celebrating now. So that was something that came out. And when children really presented to parents, this is what I learned, this is how, this is where, the gap is, and this is what I need to do next to further improve. That building of the growth mindset is very key. Each mistake is a way to learn. Keep hearing that, but how do you build it into a system of the way children learn? Every day when they're learning, they're mindful of here, okay, this one can be even better. No work is perfect. So, okay, my work is good. How do I make it even better? Every child is thinking at that level. Uh, no matter where they are, of course, differentiated instruction is to be kept in mind. So every child is different and you have to give them those. So some of them will not be very comfortable always writing. So that is also important. And lots of case study based work was done. Lots of case study based questions were put in and made mandatory. You would still have maybe 1% people who may not follow and who may still use unfair means, which of course was caught. So we had to put in some things in place for that too, that won't be taken, it would be taken seriously and action will be taken. And so if, for instance, I will share, I mean, unfortunate, but one of the parents actually wrote the Hindi paper for a child. The teacher did easily see that the writing is different, and the teacher's been correcting this kid's work for so many years. She knows, and it's, you can make out. So, and the parent wouldn't agree. So the case study really helped here, and the assessment then done on the video. Okay, go for a reassessment. We've already given you guidelines. So then done on the video, worked out. Finally, the parent agreed and confessed that, I wanted to compete. This inner sense of competing with others is a problem. Every child needs to be able to compete with themselves. Wherever we are, we need to get better from there. So that compete with yourself is the basis, and from there you take it forward on assessment.
I think there was a question from the audience, Dr. Amrita, and you were saying that self-assessment started from which grades?
So self-assessment using the 3-color pens started from grade 3 up until grade 2, because they are younger. They also did self-assessment, but they used smileys. So smiley, neutral smiley, and this one I'm not happy with. So even in early childhood, they used a lot of smileys, not given by teachers. We are very against the idea of praise and punishment, or empty praise as such. So feedback always has to be specific and targeted and important, and very, very detailed, constructive, so that it leads to improvement. So no, very good, well done, I give you a star. But yeah, children can give themselves as many stars as they want to, and their peer group and so on. So happy smileys and sad smileys, this I've written, but I don't like it. It doesn't look as good as what ma'am has written. So make it look like that, and so on.
Yes. Yes, so that how has been your experience when it comes to, the assessment part of education?
Yes, in fact, it was quite a journey to get into this assessment process. We began with converting the question papers into Google Forms, and then when the initial phase, as I told you in the very beginning, when we were closing down, it was our final exams which were coming up, and grade fives were to take the checkpoint exams. We had finalized that they would be taking the checkpoint, so we had an early final exams planned for them. So we were apprehensive whether it would happen, we could have the checkpoint or not. So we went for an examination pattern for grade five so that they complete their fifth grade and they start preparing for the checkpoints. So when we thought of that, the thought itself was puzzling the teachers. How on earth are we going to check these papers? How are we going to plan these papers? With so many components, we have the English, which is supposed to be, essays and things like that, which have to be written. How are we supposed to do that on, on Google Form? So we said that, okay, we will work it out how we can manage. Then they said that, ma'am, if we give it to them at home, they're not going to do it on their own. We'll have so many people helping them out. How are we going to grade them? Would it be really fair? So all these queries which were coming in from the teachers and very valid ones. So as you said, we also trained the parents, the students on academic honesty and plagiarism. And we said that, with this scenario, the assessment is a part and parcel of your learning process. And if you are trying to fool anybody, I mean, for that matter, it is you whom you are fooling in a way. So we wouldn't be able to gauge your learning levels or your understanding levels, and we wouldn't be able to help you in your progression. So if you are doing that, it is completely your responsibility. You want to fool us just for the marks. We don't have anything to say here because this exam is not happening for marks. So I don't know how much we were able to convince, but then we did have the examinations running quite well, and parents also appreciated that we did not let it go even in the situation like that. And we had a formal open house arranged online, and we announced the results, and the parents were very happy with all that completion of the academic year that happened, even during the lockdown. But we gave an early summer vacation, and when this term one exam happened this month, the term one exam was a bigger challenge because everything has happened online. How much the students have learned, even through the formative assessments or the assignments, was to some extent blurry in the teachers' minds because they have been able to gauge with the interactions, the online interactions, but they were apprehensive that, ma'am, have the children really understood? Are we really, in a position to take an examination? Are we putting them too much into a difficult scenario? So we had to do a lot of backworking, a lot of speculation on the question papers, how, we don't make it extra simplified. At the same time, we don't make it, very difficult. The duration was increased because it was an online thing. They cannot sit for 3 hours to write an online paper. So all these kind of things, which kept on working in our minds, and we finally came up with a module which would work best and balance out everything. And we successfully ran. Now the question was the portal, as ma'am said, how do we ensure that they are not using any unfair means to write the paper? So again, a lot of orientation. We were on, at that time, we were on Google Meets and Google Classroom. So we created exam rooms, and we had proper invigilators and videos on, and we checked what was there with them. We took the parents into the loop. We said, now you are the owners. You are our representatives at home. So if you really want your child to learn, the values and the ethics of examinations, you have to ensure that you will take care that they are not adapting to unfair means. So if we call, you will be the virtual invigilator, and we will be the actual invigilators here from this end. So you may make sure that your child is not resorting to anything like that. So the parents said that we assure you that we will take care of that. So things did work out well, and we had a very smooth examination happen. Though technical glitches did happen, the greatest difficulty which we faced was in between, there was a failure of the Google. There was one day where Google had completely crashed, and everywhere it was there in the news. And unfortunately, that was the day we had our ICT practical examinations. And most of the classes were having that exam, and it was such a wonderful day to for Google to actually crash. So we could we really faced a lot of difficulty that day, but apart from these small glitches, we did overcome and had a wonderful examination happening. So now we are up and running. We have moved into MS Teams now. We've taken up MS Teams, we moved from Google Meet. So all those glitches which were there in Google Meet, where children were coming in anytime and they were removing students from the classroom and they were muting anyone, and all these kind of things which were happening. So we overcame those once we moved into MS Teams. Now this scenario is much better than before. So we are, it's happening quite well. So hopefully that this next term exam will be much better than before.
So nice, so nice. I think, as Dr. Amrita also said, and you also said, I think this is the time to teach value education in real sense.
Yeah.
It cannot be taught through books always, or this way, but applying it in real life is so important. So I
Yeah.
think that is where talking helps, because nowadays we always get to know that both the parents are working, the child is alone at home with gadgets. There's a lot of unmonitored screen time. But I think these are the opportunities when we cannot, run away from the problem. It's time to do counseling, talk to children, very openly tell them about the goods and the bads and the rights and the wrongs, take them into confidence, make them responsible. I think these are the ways we can get these opportunities to talk to children and work on such things. And other than when we talk about the network glitch and the network problems, I think when we used to see in the physical world that when the child used to start a new session, the parents used to go and buy the books, the uniform, the school bag, tiffin box, lunch box, the water bottle, everything. I think now this kind of little investment is also needed to upgrade the network at home, uh, having proper gadget for the child. The bigger the screen, the lesser the stress on eyes. So I think if one question, last one, if I'll talk is the online education here to stay? And the other followed by it is when are the schools reopening?
So, well, the government has already said open,
Yes.
and we are going to call a few children to the school, but very few, and in very small numbers at this point. It is still not safe. We did a survey with parents, and 95% and more parents have agreed that we are very happy with remote learning and we would rather stay at home and continue with this as such and don't want to. But for my grade 10s and 12s, the ones who have their board exams coming up, there are certain mandatory practicals and things that have to be done in school. We will call them with social distancing and all the sanitization and everything else put in place, which is all mandatory. The SOPs are already there. Yes, but we are calling them for like 1 hour or 1.5 hour at max, and certain things which they really feel need to be done face to face. Every child's desk has been labeled and marked out. uh, Everybody sitting 6 feet away, so it's not going to be the same classroom that they come back to. It's going to be it's a very different environment. And we also know, and so the children also know, they're not going to sort of love that. They're only going to be able to see each other at a distance, and for that 1 hour actually worry so much, yeah, and keep wearing that mask and so on. So all those are important, but yes, certain things face to face, some writing practice face to face, and lots of those kind of things with certain classes. Yes, we are starting slowly, but most of it is still happening remote, unless there is a vaccine in place and things become genuinely safe. Even after that, at least for 2 years, the scare is likely to continue as things are. What will happen is the hybrid model. the minute we start getting them in. Uh, Actually, even after the vaccine, as I see it, but because the disbursement will also take some time for everybody to get it, will take some time, and then we don't know how effective or not effective it will be. So that itself will be another aspect, and everybody will stay. The scare is not going away anytime soon, and by the time, um, I think we all will be very used to this environment, and we, just like we have seen so many advantages or positive sides of remote learning by now, and we've realized that we have managed to do it, and successfully, we will by then realize that there is so much positive to this kind of learning style format also. So education has to evolve. Human beings are evolving. Our world is evolving. Education is also evolving. I mean, how can it stay far away? Anyway, high time, we are still living in that industrial age education system, and the age has changed from that to information to now disinformation and much more. So for generation Z, you can't teach them an education which was built for the industrial age. So here we are. It will change, and of course, nothing beats face to face. We are all wanting to get back into that space, earlier the better.
True, true, absolutely. And I feel that this is, it is going to get back, maybe to another new normal. It is not going to be this new normal which we're talking about, but a better modified version of this new normal. But it's really not going to go back to the same life that we had, say, last November, as it was for quite some time now, with the change scenario and how things are moving. But to look at the positive side of it, we are also hopeful. We have started working with all our teachers from school. So we are hoping that our grade nines are going to at least start coming back to school, because subjects like art and design with ICT, it is becoming very difficult for them to work from home. So, they do need, there are certain paid software which parents are not very happy to buy and use at home. So they need to come to school for usage. We are trying to convince, the management that, at least let a few students come to school. Teachers are anyways coming. So we are planning for that. We are in the phase of finalizing that in a few days. So probably we'll have just a small chunk of students coming in and going out for a very short period of time to clarify their doubts, though government has given that permission where they can come for doubt clarification from grade 9 onwards. And if that starts working, probably we'll just start with our grade 6, 7, and 8 also. Let's see. Hoping for the best.
Yes, yes, completely agree. And Dr. Orissa and Mr. Gita, I mean, let me tell you that the motto and the vision of our school is be more. And in all the odd situations and all the circumstances which we have had, I think our teachers and our learners have been more in all their capacities. And recently, one of our learners, the head boy of the school, he came up with a fantastic video, which is appealing to everybody, that this is my lockdown story, and how can you be more? So just have a glimpse of that as well.
Oh, hi. Hello, I just. Hello, I am Aditya from SBM. Big for me is to equip myself with the growing technology. The outburst of pandemic has happened before, but we cannot deny the truth that it has tremendously developed and boosted the technology. The scientific and applied approach to the use of technology for improving our personal experience has tremendously increased. This has elevated human strength to allow individuals, groups, and societies to flourish like never before. It's my dream to be more familiar with the technology. And so do I find myself more involved in the technological conceptualization. Do you dream to be unique? Post your reply and tell me what is BMO for you.
So it was completely recorded by him solely, edited by him, and he's in just grade 8 right now.
Great.
With this really coming to an end of today's session, I would like to thank, with all my happiness and hearty feelings right now, to have such wonderful team with us today. And of course, a big thank you to Dr. Amrita, Ms. Sudipta, Arjun sir, who has been always been so motivating. Fatima ma'am, bring us together, get us connected, and so this wonderful thing could come up. Definitely Rohit for sharing such wonderful things, because I think it's a time where it's a big shout out for all the teachers. I mean, they have gone out of their ways to learn new things and doing it. I think a thank you and to all our audience, our parents, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and listening to all of us so patiently. I think you would have definitely benefited a bit.
Thank you so much to you too. It was a wonderful session, and I think I've taken back a lot of learning from here. Lots of beautiful things happening at both the schools that we talked about.
Sure, and it's mutual actually. We have learned everything, everything which we discussed. We learned so much from each other, and definitely looking forward to your cultural event, ma'am. We will be a part of that, and hopefully we'll meet soon again. And
Definitely.
yes, all the best to all of you for the wonderful work that you're doing. All the best, Rohit, to you and your team. So, wish you all the best for this upcoming future. Thank you very much, ma'am, for inviting us for this session.
Thank you so much once again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rohit. Thank you, Monica. Thank you,
Bye bye.
and everyone
Thank
else.
you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.